That's why they call me bad company. I can't deny bad company. Today
Welcome to the W2W review. I am the Oakland Knight, and joining me from the LA studios is Raider Pirate. What's up, Pirate?
What's going on, Raider Nation?
All right, Raider Nation, we are back. We took a day off yesterday. We had some personal things that we had to do, but we are back, and we're here to talk some Raider football with you today on the W2W review. Let's go ahead and touch base on our offense and our defense from Sunday's matchup versus the Chargers, where we came out victorious, and we moved to 4-1, the top of the division. It's so nice to say that for once. We are on top of the division, tied, yet top of the division. In fact, we are the number one seed if the season was to end today, so that's pretty amazing in itself. All right, Pirate, what do you got for us from the offense and defensive number standpoint?
Yeah, so, we'll go ahead and get into this a little bit, but you know what, today, man, I feel like a champion. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a champion. Nothing has happened so far. This team has some things that they've got to fix, particularly defensively.
Correct.
We got to get healthy in that area, but we're winning. These are games that we would have been losing in years past. A number of reasons why we would have lost this particular game and the last couple of games as well. So we're 4-1. We could also be 0-5 at this point, realistically. But then again, we could also be 5-0 at this point.
Correct.
So if you take a look at it, the offense had 19 first downs, 12 of them passing, and 6 of them by rushing. Their third down efficiency, 5 of 14, again below 50%. So we got to get that number up. I really thought it would go up this week, but we were 1 for 1 on fourth down. Big, huge play on fourth down. So that was very, very impressive. And it looks like Jack Del Rio says, hey, you know what? I didn't make that call. Derek Carr audibled out of it, and we give him the freedom to do that type of thing. So that was really cool to see. 68 plays total we ran. 389 total yards for this particular offense. 300 yards again for Derek Carr. Threw the ball 40 times. It's becoming a pattern here, folks. Basically, though, he was sacked also 3 times for a loss of 17 yards. We ran the ball for 89 yards. I thought it was a good running day. I thought we could have utilized the backs more than we did.
I agree.
But you know what? I'll take the 89 yards. We had only 25 rushing attempts, and if you look at the two backs together, I think they only had something like 16 attempts total, so maybe 8 carries apiece. I wanted them to run the ball a little bit more, but you know what? You live by the sword, you die by the sword, and today we lived by the Derek Carr, Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree sword.
Correct.
6 penalties, but not for a lot of yards. Again, they're just penalties that you go, you know what? You're at home. You cannot jump off sides, Asameli. We cannot have these false start penalties. 6 penalties, 36 yards, though. Not bad. These were like 5-yard little ticky-tack type things. That didn't put us in bad positions. Derek Carr had the 1 turnover, but again, they were getting pressure on him all day long. So, I think he kind of felt like they were going to be sending pressure, so he was just trying to get the ball off pretty quickly. And they possessed the ball for 36 minutes and 18 seconds. So again, very good time of possession. San Diego had more yards than we did through with their offense, but still 389 yards, 300 yards passing, 89 yards rushing. We had only 1 turnover. And we had more first downs than San Diego. So all in all, once again, a great performance by this Raider offense that started off really rusty,
right?
And like they didn't want to play, but they were able to pull it out at the end.
Again, the things that stick out to me is, and I said this earlier on, I said it Sunday on the post-game live show, we did not perform to our potential, especially on offense, and we still put up 34 points. So, again, the 89 rushing yards, hey, I wanted us to see us run the ball more too, but it wasn't necessarily that we couldn't run the ball, although San Diego did a great job with their run defense. They're a top 10 run defense, so that's to be given. However, the game dictated Carr throwing as much as he did. It's not that we couldn't run the ball or we can't run the ball. The game just dictated that we needed to throw it in the air. And they struggled at times. There was a couple of touchdowns, once again, that were taken away, whether it was a weird call in the back of the end zone for Cooper. Cooper also missed a couple on toe tappers on the sideline that would have been touchdowns. So, again, this offense continues to show its power, that it can score from anywhere on the field in many different ways. And right now, we're just riding the arm of Derek Carr. Defensively, we continue to have our struggles. Statistically, this game, we did a lot better job covering the run. That was nice to see. We also gave up a lot of big plays in the air, though. That was the Achilles heel to this game, was the big plays down the field on defense. But, it just seems like we plug one hole, another one opens up. That's fine. I think there's still time for us to grow and build that continuity on defense. I see the personnel being there. I see the potential being there. We're going to get some key pieces back here in a few weeks. So there's a lot to look forward to here. And the key to all of this is the fact that we are 4-1. We are top of the division. There's nothing really holding us back but ourselves. These pre-snap penalties, not communicating, not getting our toes on the grass instead of the white line. These are all small things that will turn around eventually. So to be able to still consider us having an off day, pulling out a victory, scoring 34 points, this team is for real. We're a back, Raider Nation. Pirate?
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I heard them talking basically, the amount of space that Amari Cooper was off was literally inches in terms of being in bounds, catching the balls in bounds. They're getting closer and closer and closer. And once this connection, once this chemistry kicks in, the way that Derek Carr has kicked it in with Michael Crabtree, and even they struggled at the beginning of this game. Very uncharacteristic for Michael Crabtree to drop the ball that he did. But they hung in there and they continued to push and push and push. Once Amari Cooper gets that type of chemistry, I think that Crabtree and Carr have, this offense is going to become extremely explosive. Looking at the defense, again, I thought they came up big. I thought this was a big defensive day. People are going to disagree. People are going to say, no, they're giving up too much yards. They're doing this, they're doing that. They gave up 31 points. But again, in the first half, this is a close ball game. This is a very, very close ball game. You look 423 yards in the air for Phillip Rivers. But once again, he was only 2 for 8. Okay, so the defense on third downs continues to produce for our football team. For whatever reason, giving up big chunks of yardage on first, second downs, but they're showing up on third down, and then on fourth down, they were 0 for 1. So, if you take a look at it, they had 12 drives, but here's the kicker. San Diego was averaging 8.3 yards per attempt on offense. 8.3 yards. That's way too much. Okay. Phillip Rivers was 21 for 30. Again, he was averaging 11 yards a throw.
Right.
Now, those numbers were big because of the fact, obviously, that he was throwing those bombs. But still, 11 yards, that's pretty darn good. Although he did have the 2 interceptions, they really made a conscious point to try to get the ball deep. Phillip Rivers was dropping back. Even in the shotgun, I saw him dropping back 2, 3, 4 steps and then just chucking the ball down the field. So they really wanted to beat us deep, and it worked sometimes and came, bit them at other points. But again, they were 3 for 5 in the red zone. They had 4 penalties of their own. But the big thing, I think, was that we got 4 turnovers on defense. There were 2 fumbles, and then there were the 2 interceptions that we got. And again, we held their running back under 100 yards. So, yes, we gave up big plays. We went into that prevent sort of defense and let them drive down the field. I didn't think we needed to do that.
Right.
But again, they made the plays that they needed to make. And, there were a couple of gimmies, the fumbled kick and some of the other fumble.
The horrible punt.
Those things we absolutely needed.
No, absolutely. And when I look at this game and you see how poorly, I guess you could put the tag poorly on this defense once again, especially when you look at it from a statistic standpoint, we answered back with 4 turnovers, like you said, the 2 fumbles, the 2 interceptions, and then we had the botched field goal, which I consider a turnover as well on downs. But this team continues to fight. There's no give up. No matter how many big plays they give up, touchdowns, they're always fighting. They're always flying around. It's just a matter of time for this defense to click. So I like where we're headed. At least I could say that. And again, we're 4-1 on top of the division. We are in control of our own destiny. That's exactly where you want to be at this point. We just have to worry about the next team the next week, which is the Kansas City Chiefs, which we'll be covering later on this week. But, Pirate, let's go ahead and change the pace a little bit. There was an article that we want to talk about, and let's go ahead and get into the first topic before we go to break.
Yeah, so there was an article that was written by Brad Weiss on Fansided, and he brought up a couple of different things we learned, about the game against the Chargers. And one of the things was that San Diego is better than their record. And again, San Diego's in almost the same position that we are. They could be 5-0 right
Correct.
now. Right now they're 1-4. We're 4-1, but we're in this almost the exact same position. They've led for the majority of the time. They've done really, really well. The offense has been really, really explosive, even though they've had massive injuries. They've just found these kind of weird ways, like on Sunday, to lose these games. But if you take a look at San Diego, like I said, this is a top 10 run defense. We ran the ball for 89 yards, but it's a top 10 run defense.
Right.
They were hurting in the secondary, so we threw the ball probably more than we would have if they would have had Verrett and Flowers in the game. But if you look at this football team, this is probably the best 1-4 football team that's out there.
I would definitely agree, and I think you brought up some key points there. One, it's a top 10 run defense, but we still were able to run for 89 yards, even though we put the ball up in the air quite a bit. So, we're not going to take anything away from the San Diego Chargers. I know that it's a rival. I know it's a bitter enemy. It's a team that is obviously on the losing end of things while we're on the winning end of things. And, you could break it down to coaching for them. Their special teams obviously is very horrible. We had the botched field goal attempt. They had the punter just really shank one really, really bad that set us up in a very good position. So there's a lot of things that went our way. Some people will want to call it luck. I don't think it's so much luck. I just think that we are finally getting into teams' heads, somewhere we haven't been in a long time. So San Diego Chargers, definitely the best 1-4 team in football. But again, we keep showing our resiliency, our ability to perform late in games and always stay in it and finding a way to get the job done. And that is starting to ring out through the rest of the league. They're not just looking at the Raiders. They are going to push a little harder in the beginning of games because they know that we're going to be there at the end. And they don't want us to be there at the end because the odds are obviously starting to fall in our favor. It's something that we struggled with last year. It's turned around this year. And we're just getting better week in and week out. So as much as we are excited that we beat the Chargers, we have to face them again, and we have to be ready that they're going to even be more ready for us. They're going to be prepared. They're going to come and try to attack us, and we just have to be able to bounce back. Final thoughts before we go to break, partner?
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be an interesting division. We're going to see what's going to happen here with Denver. It looks like Simeon probably won't play this coming up week. They're going to go with Paxton Lynch again, rookie, against the San Diego Chargers. So one way or another, something good is going to come out of it. We play against the Chiefs. So once again, just like before, we have the opportunity at this point to have this in our hands. If we beat the Chiefs and somehow the San Diego Chargers are able to beat the Broncos, it'll create even a little bit more space as we start the tough road trip where we're going to be staying down in Florida. But I think that's really going to bring this team together. Absolutely. And the camaraderie is going to get even better. So, this is a team that you don't want to look down on. I mean, I thought we should blow them out, but the more and more that I looked at it, the more and more I started to realize that may not be necessarily the case.
Right. I mean, they're obviously a lot better of a football team than their record shows. And let's make no mistake about it, with Paxton Lynch, a rookie in there, San Diego's good enough to beat Denver. They really are. We saw that ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot many times. We could have, should have, would have blown them out. but we didn't. I mean, this team it does have some resilience. They have some fourth quarter woes, but I'm looking forward to this Thursday night matchup against the Broncos for the Chargers. And I can honestly say for the first time in years, let's go Chargers, right? Take out Denver for us. And that sets the stage up for us and our divisional matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, we're going to take a quick break, Raider Nation. When we get back, we're going to finish up this article. There's a few other interesting nuggets that we want to touch base on, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I will conquer my opponent. Defeat will not be in my creed. I will believe where others have doubted. I will always uphold the prestige, honor, and respect of my team. I have trained my mind and my body will follow. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
I will acknowledge the fact that my opponent does not expect me to win, but I will never surrender. Weakness will not be in my heart. I will arrive at the cutting edge of battle and win by any means at my disposal. I accept the fact that my team expects me to move faster and fight harder than our opponent. Never shall I fail my teammates. I will always keep myself mentally alert, physically strong, and morally straight. And I will shoulder more than my share of the task, whatever it may be, 100%. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
Gallantly will I show the world that I am a specially selected and well-trained warrior. My heart and my soul will be the fuel to carry my body when my limbs are too weary. I will never falter. I will never lose focus. As long as there is hope in my mind and my heart still beats, I will never give in to the evil that is weakness, and I will fight that evil with my dying breath. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
Energetically will I meet my opponent. They will not challenge me. They will not stop me from my goal. I shall defeat them on the field of battle, for I am better trained and will fight with all of my might. Defeat, retreat are not a champion's words. I will never leave anything but the very best on the field with my teammates. And under no circumstances will I ever surrender. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
Readily will I display the discipline and strength required to fight forward to my objective and complete that objective. I will rise when I have fallen. I will rip the heart from my opponent and leave it beating on the ground because he cannot stop me. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
My opponent may not fear me, but he will respect me. And if he does not, I will make him respect me with all that I have to give. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
It's our time, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. None will say I've not given all I have to give, and none will take my glory. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
History will remember me. No one will deny me. No one will define me. No one will tell me who and what I am and what I can be. Who am I?
I'm a champion.
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 All right, welcome back to the W2W. Right on, Pirate. I see what you mean by we're feeling like champions, man. That was amazing, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Raider Nation, you should feel that. You should believe in that. This is a turnaround season for us. We're doing a great job. It's just amazing. It's an amazing feeling to be able to sit where we're sitting at right now with our record, with the schedule being somewhat favorable. It's not as tough as it has been in the past. There's a couple of road journeys that we got to take that's going to be challenging, but at the end of the day, we are champions. All right, Pirate, let's go ahead and jump back into this thing. What are some of the other things the article's talking about? Let's get into this.
Yeah, so once again, we're referring to an article by Brad Weiss, and we'll include it in the description below, but he has the three things that we learned after Week 5's game. The first one we covered, the Chargers are probably the best 1-4 football team, or they're at least better than that 1-4 record. He says if NFL games were 3 quarters long, they would obviously be dominating most teams. Then he goes on to talk about Derek Carr as an elite quarterback. if you read into the article, he talks about Derek's ability to lead men, and it was really interesting. I was driving home and I was listening to Papa and Townsend, and they were talking about how when he is on the sideline, he is just right next to the offensive coordinator. He's right next to the head coach. He's talking to them. He's focused. He's going to his linemen. He's fist bumping them. He's telling everybody, give me a little bit of time. Don't give up. We can do this. He has become that leader of men that they were looking for when Charles Woodson and some of these other veterans who were leaders on the team up until this point, what they were doing, for that. So Carr has really developed, numbers also. He's obviously doing better than Blake Bortles in terms of long-term success. He takes care of the ball a lot better. Bortles' numbers are a little bit better, but he takes care of the ball, doing way better than Bridgewater. Bridgewater's out, but, obviously Manziel from that particular quarterback class. It's pretty clear that Derek Carr is the guy from that class, not the number one pick overall. This is a guy that fell to the second round. Reggie snapped him up. But again, this is a really great thing. Reggie McKenzie brought in guys that had high character. He brought in guys that were leaders to build up this young secondary, to build up a young defensive line in Khalil Mack. And now when those leaders basically, their contracts expired, you need guys to step up, and Derek Carr has obviously become the face of the franchise. So Derek Carr is an elite quarterback. Your thoughts, partner?
When you look at the history of the league, a lot of the great teams of the past always had great quarterbacks, great leaders at the quarterback position. We have one right now in Oakland in Derek Carr. Derek Carr is leading on the field. Derek Carr is leading off the field. And once again, this organization has done a great job of building a lot of good characters to match his personality. So even the ones that maybe don't match Derek Carr's personality, he's winning them over with the way that he handles himself, always staying at the same demeanor. He is just a great leader on and off the field, and that's what's going to separate this team apart as we move forward into this new generation of Raider football. Derek Carr is the face of the franchise. He's got guys like Crabtree, who is almost like his best friend. Cooper's like his best friend. The defense loved this guy. The defense is absolutely in love with Derek Carr. Him and Khalil Mack are best friends. This guy is just loved by everybody. And that is also being backed up by his play on the field, his ability to stay poised in the pocket, to deliver balls, to never have that give up type mentality in his body. His demeanor never changes. And he continues to make great throws, great decisions. Even though we can get frustrated at times with the checkdowns and him taking what the defense gives him, he's willing to pull that trigger. We just talked in segment one how on that fourth and 2 play, he audibled out and took a shot to Michael Crabtree in the end zone. Not too many quarterbacks are willing to do that. They're going to try to get that first down first and then maybe take a shot on first down. Derek Carr sees it, looks over at Crabtree and says, "We got this, brother." Snaps the ball and drops a dime right into Crabtree's hand. Crabtree makes a great catch. He's got great hands. As you see in that play, he's falling out of bounds. He's holding it on to one hand like it's a pebble. It's just what we're seeing right now is amazing. And a lot of it is credited to Derek Carr. He's definitely the leader of this football team. He is definitely one of the major reasons why this whole thing has turned around. So I couldn't be more happier with our quarterback.
Yeah, and if you take a look at it, they always talk about building around a young quarterback. They built around Blake Bortles by getting him 2 awesome wide receivers, but they didn't necessarily build that lineup to where it needs to be. They drafted some guys that haven't worked out up until this point. If you look in Minnesota, you've got Adrian Peterson. But if you look at what they did with Derek Carr, they said, we're going to put a line in front of you that's going to be one of the best in the league.
Right.
We're going to give you a game-breaking, young, very, very gifted wide receiver that can run any route. And then we're going to bring in a cagey veteran that you can trust. That's going to be your security blanket. You don't need a tight end. You don't need somebody to catch a 3, 4, 5-yard pass. We're going to give you a guy that when you take that shot, when you need it, he's going to come down with it. And, they went out there, they got a couple of running backs, they got more speed now, they have more versatility. So once again, you look at Derek Carr and you want to say, oh my God, he's great, but it's all the pieces around him. The offensive line has to give him time. The wide receivers have to get open and make the catches. The coaching staff has to put him in a position to succeed and not jump all over him when he makes a mistake. And they have to show him that they trust him. And they've done all of those things up until this point. I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again. A lot of times you don't realize that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers until he's been Aaron Rodgers for a number of years. We are watching that right now with this kid. He's already through 5 games, 1,383 yards. He's got 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He has a quarterback rating of 102.3, and the kid is throwing the ball like 40 times a game.
Correct.
Right? So this is not, again, a check down, small, short. This guy's taking shots down the field, and he's being extremely, extremely productive. We are seeing Aaron Rodgers at the birth of Aaron Rodgers, and as a nation, as a fan base that has watched Jamarcus Russell and Terrell Pryor and all these other quarterbacks come and go, including the ones that were brought in that never even got the opportunity to see the field or were horrible when they got there. We're seeing something special, and I think we really, really need to pay close attention to this and to trust in this quarterback and this football team. So the third thing that they talked about is Oakland is going to the playoffs. Now, again, we're only 5 games into the season. Long way to go. Injuries, all kinds of different things can begin to affect us. This defense can become even worse. But they start talking about the Oakland Raiders are one of the best teams in the AFC. They have strengthened their defense, and they're going to get some more pieces coming out of the bye, and then going to or at least before we play against Denver, that we should have some key pieces back healthy. Derek Carr, like we just said, is producing at a very, very high level. It looks like that's just going to get better. The defense is a work in progress, but they've got some budding stars like Carl Joseph, and Khalil Mack hasn't even began to make his presence felt at this point. If we could get Murray back with Rashard and Washington, and the way that we can spread it out and do some different things with these running backs, Oakland looks like the best team in the AFC West at this point. They look better than Denver. They look better than Kansas City, and they look better than San Diego on paper. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. This is where I'm really excited, because once again, we could talk about how easily we could be 1-4 or 0-5, but instead we're 4-1, and a lot has to do with our offense, right? But I mentioned in segment 1, when you look at what the defense did last Sunday against the Chargers, yes, they gave up a ton of big plays down the field. Phillip Rivers was bombing on us left and right, but they were able to match the intensity by turning around and getting 4 turnovers, which was key. So they kind of washed some of those plays out. They kept us in games and allowed the offense the opportunity to catch up and do its thing. The offense had a bad day. In my opinion, the offense had a bad day, and they still put up 34 points. This is the kind of style that we're seeing from this Oakland Raider football team, a team that can come out sluggish but never give up, have a ton of fight, and once it kicks in, because they don't give up and they keep going to the grind, it eventually catches up. They start hitting on all cylinders. The defense is making enough plays. The only question we have on the playoffs right now is this defense, but I'm telling you, Raider Nation, don't give up on this defense. The personnel is there. We were talking about it in the pre-production meeting. The personnel's there. It's not so much the personnel right now as for me as it is the continuity built in also with the scheming from the coaching staff. They need to kind of settle in on an exact scheme, what they want to run, and then we just got to wait for the continuity to build. There's plenty of time left. This defense continues to show improvement in certain areas. Like I said, it's kind of like that old analogy, like cartoons and stuff. You plug one hole and the other one spouts out, and you're trying to plug all these holes. Eventually, all those holes are going to plug, and this defense is going to be a lot better than what we've seen in the first 5 weeks. And look, we're not looking for this team to be a great defense. This team does not have to be a great defense. We have a great offense. I truly see that developing. We have a great offense. So if we could be average or a little above average, you darn right, this is a playoff team. And it's not only going to be a playoff team, it's a playoff team that actually has a shot to advance inside the playoffs. I'm not ready to sit there and say this is a Super Bowl caliber team just yet, but it's definitely a playoff team, and it's a team that has the opportunity to make some noise. We got some key pieces, like you mentioned, coming back. Mario Edwards Jr., we're crossing our fingers. It's all looking good from my standpoint, because Aldon Smith was not charged with anything, and there hasn't been a report saying he failed a drug test. So I don't think they have too much ground except for just judging him off, was it him? Wasn't it him? I think that's in his favor. So we could actually have Aldon Smith back on this football team, which is another boost. It's going to boost up the linebacker position. We brought a guy in last week in Perry Riley, who actually played a really strong game. He led us in tackles. He caused a couple turnovers. I mean, this guy was flying around. If he continues to be that kind of linebacker for this football team, Malcolm Smith will get healthy. Aldon Smith, Bruce Irvin, Corey James, an exciting rookie to watch. This team has the ability to get better. Just to get better from where we're seeing now, and we're winning football games. So darn right, this is a playoff team. Watch out. We have arrived, and we're coming to take what's been ours this whole time. We just kind of let you guys enjoy it for a little while.
Yeah, and if you look at just the records right now, what I really like about this season is that we've already beat the Tennessee Titans. We have already beat the Baltimore Ravens. Now, that's two teams that potentially right now are in second place in their division. So
Correct.
If the season ended today, we would be the number one overall seed. But also, if the season ended today, we would hold the tiebreakers against the number two seeds that are in each of their respected North and South divisions. We've already beat the San Diego Chargers, but if you take a look at it, the Bills, who are in their number two position, we're going to be playing here coming up soon in Oakland. And also the Texans will be playing in Mexico City. So once again, this is really shaping up. These teams are beatable. Teams are going to figure out how to stop Trevor Siemian and that offense in Denver. And Atlanta set the blueprint for how you beat that defense. Everybody says this is the best defense, this is the best defense. You know what? Spread them out. Get your running backs and I think that's why they tried it this week. Get your running backs like Washington or Jalen Richard. Send them on some fly patterns up the field. Have linebackers cover them and take advantage. Spread those guys out. Don't let them tee off on your quarterback. Let them beat the linebackers, and you can beat this defense. We just saw Atlanta do it. Atlanta laid out the blueprint for everybody in the league with fast running backs that can get down the field on fly patterns against the mismatched linebackers that they have. And you can run the ball with Malik Jackson out of there. So they're going to figure out Trevor Siemian. They're going to slow down this offense. The teams already now have an idea of how to beat this defense. Kansas City. So once again, we're not going to play Pittsburgh, but we are going to play Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. So if we can just get those victories, we're a playoff. I mean, that's just, where we go from there, like you said. Should we say we're going to be in the Super Bowl? No, but I think that we could say at this point, being 4-1, with these teams in front of us, it's in our hands.
Correct.
This is not a situation where we have to hope that this team loses or that team loses or X, Y, and Z. And like you said, this defense is just going to get better with the additions of Mario Edwards Jr., which is going to change how the linebacking is played, because he's going to keep the linebackers a lot cleaner than they are right now. And with the improved linebacker play, that's going to become huge. That's going to allow Reggie Nelson to not have to try to come up and make a bunch of plays and jeopardize the back end of that defense like we saw on Sunday. He bit up on the Gates play and then ended up getting beat deep when he tried to come back to prevent the touchdown. That and the fact that Amerson let the receiver get on top of him results in the touchdown. So we're not going to be seeing those things once Mario Edwards comes back. We'll be able to do a lot more at the line of scrimmage. And then, like you said, with Aldon Smith, hopefully coming back, he's scheduled to be, they filled out the paperwork October 1st. So the soonest that he can come back is November 1st. We haven't heard a lot of what's going on with that, which is unfortunate because it would be great to know if he was or wasn't coming back. But, again, I'm taking too much time here, but I like it. I like everything that you said about this team. I like everything that I just said about the games they've already won and the fact that they will be hosting at home the teams that they have to beat other than Jacksonville. But right now, Jacksonville's 1-3. So, once again, do we have to be so worried about them? But I believe this team is going to make the playoffs.
And just keep in mind, I ain't taking anything away from Denver. I'm not going to underestimate Denver. That's still a good defense. They've been able to produce a little bit more on offense. But I'll tell you right now, the one way that you could beat a good defense is with a great offense. And that's something that we have and we continue to develop on. So I think we match up really, really well with Denver. It's going to be a tight, real hard-fought game, but it's going to be an opportunity for us to take over this division. So I'm definitely looking forward to that Denver game this year. All right, Raider Nation, we are out of time, but I do want to take a quick second to give a few shout-outs. Number one, his last name's slipping my mind, but his name is Keith Whitney. I want to say his name is Keith Whitney on Facebook, a 10-year-old football player who loves the Oakland Raiders. He's the number one Oakland Raider fan in our books. He's a young generation kid coming up, loving the Raiders. So I want to give him a big shout out. And I wanted to make
Timothy Whitney.
Yes, right. And I also want to make this a point. Here's this 10-year-old kid that's following our show, following our channel, whether it's on Facebook or here on YouTube. And I just want to remind everybody that's exactly why we try to keep this family friendly. We got a lot of young generation Raider fans coming up, and we want to be able to educate them and teach them how to be Raider fans. So big shout out to Keith. You are the number one Oakland Raider fan on this show right now. So we really appreciate you, Keith. Also, we want to give a big shout out to our Facebook community that's growing daily. We want to thank Eddie Garcia. We want to thank Anita. Oakland Raider Football. Go check them out on Facebook. They've been doing a lot of great things for us on our page. So make sure you still go check out The Will to Win on Facebook. Go ahead and hit the like button there and continue to hit the subscribe button here on Facebook. on YouTube, as we're continuing to bring you daily content, the live post-game shows, the weekly broadcasts, anything that we could provide, we're going to be here doing it for you. So for the Raider Pirate, I'm the Oakland Knight. This has been brought to you by the Will to Win broadcast. And until tomorrow, you stay Raider strong.
And that's why they call